What's up, guys, girls, and Wii Remotes? So the RobTop levels suck, right? What do I mean by that? Alright, watch this. So we all know TOE 2, right? Yes, yes? And I'm sure that a lot of you guys probably like it. But you know why you shouldn't and why you're wrong? Because of this. This block is misplaced. So this level is garbage. It's not even misplaced by like a regular step. It's like a step and a half. So today I'm gonna be going through all the RobTop levels, or as many of them as I can, and I'm gonna be trying to find errors to fix. I feel like naturally we should start at the end because the later levels are the most complex and therefore the most susceptible to errors. I'm gonna choose to ignore the fact that these decorations don't even go together. Like, what is this when you really look at it? And instead pay attention to the fact that he didn't even make them go down far enough. There is empty space right here. This should go down another block. And it's like that on most of these platforms, right? Like, most of them have this issue where the blocks don't go down far enough, and there's empty gaps everywhere. It's very noticeable around this area with the pillars that sink into the lava. I'm also going to choose to ignore the fact that RobTop decided to try and make this a structure, despite the fact that he made the game, and he could have totally just added in a block that does this and looks better. Moving along, because, right, these are obviously design choices, right? Like, these aren't errors. These are conscious decisions that RobTop chose to make. These are not errors in the typical sense. RobTop didn't accidentally do this. I'm gonna be trying to find things that he wouldn't have reasonably done. Like, they don't make sense for him to have seen it and thought, yep, this is great, let's just keep this in the level. Now, there's this as well, right? I can't tell if this is a stylistic choice or an error, because he did this. He didn't really connect these two blocks properly when he very much could have. He could have absolutely made these pillars out of, like, blocks that actually go here. Like, he could have very much done something like this, right? And all that would have been required is to just move the pillar over a little bit. But he could have absolutely done some sort of a situation like this, right? Because in this situation, the blocks actually line up properly. Well, I'm trying to find the one that actually does. This keeps looking kind of wrong. There we go. See, obviously the sides are wrong, so I didn't change those, but you see how this part fits together so much better? So I don't know whether or not to count this whole thing as an error, but I'm gonna leave this whole thing in the video because it is irritating. For the most part, Finger Dash is a pretty solid error-free level. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I found here I can't even tell if are actual errors or not, so it's good to know that Finger Dash is pretty much perfect the way that it is. I mean, I already knew that because it's the best level, but, you know, whatever, it's fine. So next we get to Deadlocked. I feel like I remember there being a solid couple errors here, but we're just gonna have to look and find out. So this is another thing I can't tell if is intentional or not. So these two things aren't exactly aligned properly. Again, I can't tell if this is intentional or not, but this middle one is definitely not perfectly aligned with the bigger one. But that's not really worth going too much into. But it's very minor, but I noticed it. There's also the fact that this teleport portal launcher thing just chooses to not work sometimes. That's not so much of an error as it is a game issue, but I figured I'd mention it. So it looks to me like Deadlocked is also pretty error-free. Don't worry if you think this video is gonna have nothing in it. There are some things that I'm intentionally thinking about that I will be showcasing later, so don't worry. But for now, it looks like Deadlocked is pretty clean, so I guess we'll just move on. Geometrical Dominator, we are still in 2.0, so let's see if RobTop treated this level as well as he treated Deadlocked. So I can't tell if this is an error, but you'll notice the glows here are actually just in place, not on the platform. The only reason I think this might be an error is because you can move these objects with the platform and it's guaranteed to look better. I feel like there's some ways that this could go wrong maybe, but yeah, the glows here are pre-placed already where the platforms will end up being to meet them, and I feel like this is a result of RobTop playing the level from here with a start position and placing the objects down while in start position mode so they didn't get like a group assigned to them for a move trigger. And it looks like that's really it for Geometrical Dominator. We are speeding through this. I feel like I might be missing some, but then again, maybe RobTop is just perfect and I'm stupid, but I don't know. Anywho, I guess we're moving on. Before we move on though, I would just like to remind you all that if you're enjoying the video, to hit subscribe, baby! We absolutely smashed 100k out of the park, and now we're setting our sights on 200k. Let's go! Alright, back to RobTop being a bad level designer. TOE 2, a classic. You already know what we're here for, but we're gonna scout out the first part of the level before we get there, just to double check that there's nothing fishy up here. Looking at all these blocks, just to make sure there's nothing wrong here. So there's this. RobTop missed a decoration thing here. He missed one of these. He put one on the other side, because originally I was like, oh, maybe he didn't do it because it's like off-center, like this platform isn't like on a single tile. But he put one here, so he could have easily copied it and put one there as well, and that would have matched up, but he didn't. So RobTop 0, Sdslayer 1. All right, here we are. You're already well aware what we're here for. Bump, bump. There we go. Was that so hard, RobTop? Doesn't look like there's anything wrong here. I was gonna knock off points for this because it looks really weird. But I'm not sure how much of an error that is. However, what is this, RobTop? Move this over. Like, even this looks better. What? Are you even trying, man? I wish I had waited till 2.2 to make this video, because I guarantee there's going to be like 8 billion errors in each of the 2.2 levels with how complicated they are. We have this part. In my opinion, this entire part is an error, so we're just gonna get rid of that, fix your level up like that, so we're done there. And that seems to be it for TOE 2. Couple issues, couple things that I think are stupid and bad, but again, I can't actually definitively tell if any of these are actual errors or style choices, so we're just gonna cover our bases and go through all of them. I've always been quite fond of blast processing as a level, so I'm kind of hoping that I don't find anything here bad about it, but I guess we're just gonna have to look. Here's something. This ends too early. That's pretty minor. I probably could even go up to here. But yeah, this ends way too early. That was pretty short. This should go down an extra block because there's some of it visible here. So you should extend that down an extra block. Same with, this one, this one, this one, and maybe this one. RobTop didn't put an end on here. He didn't like cap it off or anything. He probably could have just copy pasted this one over and did this to make it look okay. But as it stands now, the end of it is kind of just poking out there. Man, this is really kind of making me sad. I just said that I like this level, and already I have found more errors with it than I found in any of the other ones. Here's another one. There's black ground spikes down here, but there aren't any up here. I don't know if that was intentional or not. He did this thing where this is rotated at a weird angle to try and make it bend back down to hit the ground. But down here, he kind of just made these ones go straight down and then just placed regular ones. So these ones don't really match up in terms of the rotation. That could probably be fixed. Kind of a similar issue here. He probably could have moved these over and done this instead of just having a single one in the middle. So I'm gonna count that as an error, even though it might not be. And to finish off, again, this doesn't extend far enough. I don't want to talk about how sad I am. Let's just move on. So, as a parallel to blast processing, I think this goes a little too far. This could probably just cut off here. I feel like that would look fine. But to be fair, RobTop's kind of... There's no real good way to deal with this, in my opinion, because of the slope. But that's my suggestion. Now, this might be cheating, because RobTop probably didn't have this. I don't know if this was in 1.8. However, he could have made this part look so much better with the help of the Align X button. There we go. It's the same thing with all of these structures. I'm not going to fix all of them. But it's the same deal with literally all of them, so, you know. This part cuts off when it realistically could just go into the wall like that. It's weird how I'm noticing more things that could be fixed or better in the older levels than I did in the newer ones. Either RobTop got a lot better at fixing his mistakes before the level went live to the public, or because there's more stuff in the later levels, I'm just really bad at noticing them. Not sure what the thought process here is. You could kind of just delete that one and do this, and it would look fine. So actually, I'm for pretty good level. There's not a whole lot there. Electrodynamix, on the other hand, let's find out. Because Electrodynamix is when the editor got a lot... There was a lot of stuff that was new when Electrodynamix came out. And I'm sure that RobTop must have messed up at least somewhere. Because Clubstep was a... There's a noticeable difference between Clubstep and Electrodynamix in terms of, like, everything. Huh. Well, I got to the end of the level and I didn't really notice anything else. So I guess RobTop had his act together for this one. I don't really know how much was added in 1.6, but I feel like if he didn't mess up in 1.7, surely he wouldn't have messed up in 1.6, right? Like, this level had to have been easier to create than Electrodynamix, and therefore less likely to make errors. So RobTop did this for some reason. I really don't know why. I mean, I guess, like, this is a problem, but you could have done this or something. I mean, he didn't even fix it because there's still empty space here. He should have done it like this and it would have kind of fixed it. I don't even know what this is. You can't even really see this in main gameplay, but I guess if you really gotta fix it, I probably just would have done this and just dealt with it. This is why when I build layouts, I always just use the grid. Like, I try my best to not put anything off-center with the grid, because it just makes situations like that, where things end up weird and bad. So, you know, there's these things down here, right? And I'm not gonna talk about the fact that these aren't aligned like this or something. Bro just straight up forgot to put them up here as well. He also made them not go through this guy, but they do go through this guy because of the misalignment. So, I don't know, man. I mean, they completely cover the bottom here, but I don't know. RobTop's got no consistency with this stuff, bro. And that's it for Clubstep. Honestly, not many issues. We're getting some issues. We're usually getting like 1 or 2 issues per level now, but there's still not a whole lot, really. So nice job, RobTop. And honestly, what we are getting is, they're not very egregious errors. They're pretty subtle. I like Electroman Adventures. Honest to God, I don't think I've ever even accidentally noticed something wrong with this level, but you know, we gotta look. Maybe I'm looking through it with rose-tinted glasses, and we need to take the rose tint off of the glasses and put more of a hatred colored tint on the glasses. Never mind. It's okay. You know, let's geometry dash. Yeah, I literally didn't see a single error in there, so we're just gonna move on. DOE. Again, I don't know if I've ever noticed any problems with this level. We're getting into the really old era of the game, where there was only like 7 things you could build. What is this? What is this? There we go. Never mind. I guess the really old era of the game doesn't matter. There's still errors. How does this happen? Okay, I know you can't see this in the main level, but what is this doing here? What is this block doing just chilling up here? It's not even... Dude, there's another one. I have to assume that was there so RobTop could, like, see where the boundaries for the game modes were. Because I guess you probably couldn't, like, check portals back then. I just think that it looks really funny. What? And then there's one of these down here for some reason. Making a level in 1.5 must have been crazy. So RobTop puts these ground spikes across the bottom here for this platform, but not for this one. So I'm gonna just put these here because you need to be consistent, RobTop. You're welcome. RobTop, what is going on here, man? You gotta stop misaligning blocks in the grid, because this just looks awful. How hard is it to just extend the platform or something, man? But honestly, RobTop was pretty spot on for the rest of the level. He was pretty consistent with the spikes covering platforms, disregarding this little factor. There was no weird visual issues. So yeah, alright, average work, TOE. Let's move on. So I noticed this issue in Clutterfunk where RobTop seems to have accidentally placed a saw in the middle of the pathway, so I'm just gonna move this out of the way. He also seemed to have done something weird down here where he like messed up the ground or something. I don't really know what went on here, so I'm just gonna fix that for him. So you're welcome, RobTop. Moving on. Clutterfunk looks pretty good so far, other than that one little mess up at the beginning. Errors have got to become pretty few and far in between just because of how the game is at this point. Like, there's a whole like 6 objects you can build with. I feel like if you misplace one, you're gonna notice it before you release the update, but I'm sure I'll be proven wrong, maybe? I don't know, it happened in theory of everything, so I guess anything's possible. Clutterfunk seems fine, though. It's also gonna get to the point where I can't even tell what's an error or not, because like this obviously looks really ugly, but there weren't even the blocks that you can like use here. Like there weren't even like the end blocks for these, so this isn't even an error, it's just like the limitations of the game. Other than that strange occurrence though, Xstep is a pretty clean level. There's a block here, I don't know why that's there. But yeah, pretty clean for the most part. Let's make it back some more. I feel like we're gonna start blowing through these even faster than we already were. Cause like I said, this is like almost 1.0. So how do you mess up a 1.0 level? There's like 1 object you can place per level. If I go back through all these levels and I find out that RobTop somehow made an error in like can't let go or something, then I think that I just own Geometry Dash. Unfortunately though, Geometry Dash will not be entering my possession just yet because it appears as though there are no errors in cycles. Onwards we go. The game is still not in my possession yet because Time Machine is also pretty clear. RobTop, you're doing good so far. Can you keep it up though? So with Jumper, we are officially back into 1.0. So there really shouldn't be any errors here. If there are, as I said, I am now RobTop. I own the game. 2.2 is coming out tomorrow. Not seeing anything here. Okay, RobTop, you're kind of cooking. All right, let's see. If I wanted to be incredibly nitpicky, I could count this as an error, but I'm gonna assume that this is probably intentional game design. I don't know why it is, if it is, but I'm just gonna assume it is, and I'm gonna give RobTop the benefit of the doubt, and I think that he still owns his own game for now. Oh, RobTop, how did you do this? How did you do this? I forgot this existed. I forgot this was a thing. Oh my god. All right. Well, guys, as the new CEO of RobTop Games, I just would like to formally announce that 2.2 is coming out on July 18th. Well, other than that silly little mistake, base after base is just fine, pretty clean. Dry out is also the same, very clean indeed. Polargeist is the same story. These ground spikes are pretty silly. I feel like it could have been like this and it would have looked fine, but I'm gonna be lenient today. Since I already own Rob's company, I don't think I need to go too hard on him. Same thing with this, it really could have just been deleted and replaced with a single block, and I think that would have looked a little bit better. But other than that, back on track is just fine. And Stereo Madness, did RobTop mess up the first level in the game? Did RobTop manage to mess up Stereo Madness somehow? I don't remember. I feel like I would have heard about this if he did, but I honest to God don't remember if he made a mistake anywhere or not. I mean, this portal is upside down, but I think that's just to hide the particles of it. Yeah, RobTop did a pretty good job on Stereo Madness, so nice work, bro. So yeah, that is all the errors I could find in the main game levels. Yeah, I think we've learned today that the RobTop levels are actually pretty good. There's not a whole lot of errors. There's just a couple of really big ones that people tend to think about, like the base after base missing spike and the ToE2 misaligned block. But other than that, a lot of the levels don't really have many errors. There's a lot of weird things I see in some of the levels, but I honestly can't tell how many of them are intentional or not. But giving RobTop the benefit of the doubt, a lot of these levels are pretty good. So yeah, special thanks to all the channel members, including Village, Alphalanius, Soasama THA1, Wintera, HGGD, Gatto, Notkip, and Breadboy. Your guys' levels probably don't have any errors in them at all, and if they do, kindly send them my way and I will nitpick them all. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.